Here we'll learn about esophageal motility. The learning objectives would be understand the principle of esophageal motility, outline the function of lower and upper esophageal sphincters, elucidate the mechanism and importance of esophageal peristalsis, appreciate the physiological basis of reflex esophagitis and achalasia cardia. The different parts of the esophagus are upper esophageal sphincter, body of the esophagus, and lower esophageal sphincter. The upper part of the esophagus, the muscles are striated like skeletal muscles. In the lower part of the muscles are smooth muscles, and in the middle part, they are mixed. They have both smooth and striated muscles. However, all esophageal muscles are mainly innervated by vagal fibers. Even the striated esophageal muscles receive vagal motor fibers. So this is pharynx, upper esophageal sphincter, the junction of striated and smooth muscles, esophagus, and lower esophageal sphincter. Esophage, Esophagus differs from the other parts of GI system for not having electrical slow waves to trigger contraction. Therefore, excitability of the muscle is low. The muscles in the body of the esophagus are relaxed always except during deglutition. All the muscle fibers, including striated fibers, are innervated by vagus nerve. Activation of deglutition reflex initiates peristaltic contraction by neural mechanism, that is primary peristalsis, or presence of food bolus locally stimulate the peristalsis, that is secondary peristalsis. The upper esophageal sphincter reflexly relaxes to allow the food from pharynx to enter into the esophagus. It constricts to prevent regurgitation of the food back into the pharynx. Lower esophageal sphincter remains tonically contracted. It always prevents reflex of food back into esophagus from stomach. The basal tone of lower esophageal sphincter is contributed by vagal cholinergic fibers. However, vagal fibers inhibit circular muscles of sphincter in response to primarily peristalsis that relaxes the sphincter. This inhibitory action is mediated by stimulation of the other neurons through the activation of cholinergic vagal neurons that secrete VIP and nitric oxide. Esophageal peristalsis are primary and secondary peristalsis. Primary peristalsis initiated by deglutition reflex. In the third phase of deglutition, when food bolus enters esophagus, the primary peristalsis appears due to the act of swallowing, whether or not food is present in the mouth. Even swallowing of saliva activates it. Secondary peristalsis, when primary peristalsis fail to push the bolus from the body of the esophagus, the secondary peristalsis starts. The secondary peristalsis is initiated by activation of mechanoreceptors due to the presence of food bolus in the esophagus. Experimentally, it can be induced by inflating balloon in the body of the esophagus. Some of the applied aspects reflex esophagitis or heartburn. When lower esophageal sphincter becomes incompetent, the reflex of gastric contents into esophagus produces esophagitis. So it is treated by proton pump blockers or H2 receptor blockers. Fundoplication may also be tried in this condition, in which the portion of the fundus of the stomach is wrapped around the lower esophagus so that the LES remains inside the narrow tunnel of the stomach. Barrett's esophagus. A few cases of chronic reflux esophagitis, the normal squamous epithelium of the esophagus is replaced by columnar epithelium. So this is called as columnar metaplasia, and it's a pre-malignant condition. Achalasia cardia. In some individuals, resting tone of the LES is high. Therefore, sphincter fails to relax completely during deglutition. So this causes inadequate emptying of the esophagus, and food collects in the esophagus and organ is massively dilated. So this condition is called as achalasia cardia. The cause of this is due to the deficiency of myenteric plexus at lower esophageal sphincter of the esophagus. So thus the secretion of VIP and nitric oxide, the neurotransmitter that cause relaxation of the GI muscle, is defective in this condition. So thus resting tone of the lower esophageal sphincter becomes high. The diagnosis is made by demonstrating a rat tail in barium meal X-ray or by demonstrating retained food and fluid in the esophagoscopy. The treatment is usually mechanical pneumatic dilatation of the sphincter. In severe cases, surgical weakening of the sphincter by myotomy, that is, incision of the esophageal muscle, is performed. Also, administration of the drugs that decrease the tone of the sphincter has been successfully tried. For example, injection of the botulinum toxin into the lower esophageal sphincter that inhibits the acetylcholine release, which produces and releases the uh, which or relaxes the sphincter. So this is the rat tail appearance of the esophagus in barium meal X-ray. Note the body of esophagus is massively dilated, and the lower part is narrowed and giving appearance of the rat tail. Aerophagia is while eating and drinking some volume of air is automatically swallowed, and it is called as aerophagia. A small volume of swallowed air is removed by belching of air, and a volume of it enters into the intestine. Intestinal and colonic bacteria add hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, and methane to this air and are expelled from the rectum as a flatus. The daily production of gas by GI tract is about 1 liter. The smell of the flatus is mainly due to the presence of sulfides. Some individuals have more aerophagia or more production of gas. Disturbance in the intestinal flora also leads to more gas production. These individuals developed abdominal discomfort and borgorgmy, that is, rumbling noises in the intestine and colon. So, this is in brief about the motility of the esophagus. Thank you.